Here we go again. So I wonder if Melanie has it because, yep. So I'm going to see. Nope, she stopped it too. That sucks. That sucks. I guess you're not streaming it, so. I don't understand why. Every single one of them has been streamed. So why aren't they not streaming this one? Why? I don't understand. I noticed that Mike stopped it the minute that they put the announcement there that they were not allowing it to be streamed. I wonder why. Why would they do that? But anyhow, I'm gonna do my thing. So, in other words, if I go, okay, let me do it this way. Okay, so I'm gonna play with this one. So if I should be able to hear it and it should be okay. Yeah, when it comes to cars, I agree with this. Absolutely. But this doesn't apply to everything in life, right? But let's watch it. I love this commercial. Like I was in, I love cars. So yeah, that's a whole different live show. But let's go.
Ricky Bobby, get your butt back here.
I want to go fast.
I said burnouts and donuts only.
Cow, you came in hot. I had no breakfast. You think of what I'm thinking, man? Shake and bake, shake and bake. Okay, our lawyers just want you to know that this isn't real. My stunt driver's a 45-year-old man.
That's my boy. Forget what your smoking hot mom and teacher say. Just remember my motto.
Wake up in the morning and physics.
Nope.
Always get a DNA test?
Now the other one. If you ain't first,
you're last.
Woo! I love that commercial. I mean, that's one of my favorite commercials ever for the brand. But it's just silly. So I love those things. And there's another commercial that I like, but that one comes pretty handy because what I wanted to show you was this. That, my friend, is Mr. Kevin Albert. And that, my friend, is the person who we saw at the waterfall. So first, goes Brian. Then goes Kevin. Then goes Chris. I can't remember if Chris is first and Kevin is. I think Kevin is first. No, Chris is after. No, so it's Brian. Then it's Kathleen. Then it's Chris. Then it's Kevin. And then these two, Tim and I think it's Brendan. And it's Papa Albert and Mama Albert. They're a good-looking family, Irish. So, pictures-wise, right? I also found this one, which was pretty interesting. I'm getting all of these old screenshots that I took from back on the day. This one is from 2023. And he says, my theory, John O'Keefe was actively working on a drug case that led him to Canton. He went to Canton Chief Police to notify as a courtesy. And this is documented. I don't know who this person is, and I have no idea whether this is true or not, but we're just reading this. Unfortunately, the Canton PD had I believed two Alberts. Had I believed two Alberts on the force. I don't know what that means. Believe that this investigation led to 34th Fairview. I also think that it may have led to Colin Albert. That remains to be determined. The Commonwealth case was absurd. John O'Keefe was murdered by his brother in blue in the basement of 34th Fairview, and that is a fact. Think about it. If a dead body shows up in anyone else's front yard, let alone an LEO, you can bet your ass that the cops are going to be knocking on the door and securing the scene by exigent circumstances. Let me see. Before Proctor even got to the scene, he dismissed the possibility of the McAlbert because the owner of 34th Fairview was Boston police officer Brian Albert. So, under freedom of speech, and everybody has their rights to their opinion. Why would I say no to that, right? So, I don't know. We can comment and talk about that. I'd rather be a coconut in water. What about you? Do you rather be a coconut in water, floating? No issues, no problems, right? But unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. So some of us, at least the ones who can, who have the time, who could put in a little bit of time into this, we need to help. We need to help figure out so many stuff that is going on. And if it's something that calls our attention, why not, right? If it's something that we feel that we can do, and why not? So everybody's contribution is measured differently. So anybody that has 2 cents to contribute and add to any injustices out there, might as well do it. And I'm going to put the picture I'm going to see if I can make the picture the thumbnail so people can see it later on. But I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the loophole lawyer situation and why that show, the ladies here are trying to pitch it as if it's, it's irrelevant, or they're doing this and they're doing, no. First of all, let's put it into context, right? When Brian Higgins got his extraction and got his lawyer, and the MSP went over there and interviewed him, that was in 2022. In 2023, let's take with 2022. In 2022, also on the 30th or the 31st of January, Guarino did an initial phone extraction on John's phone, and he obtained whatever it was that he needed to do whatever it was that he wanted, at least the minimum, right? The minimum stuff that he needed to do what he needed to do. Don't forget that Jen's extraction was handed to Norfolk County District Attorney in a flash drive. It wasn't the conventional, give me your phone and I'll do the extraction. That's why Alan Jackson and everybody else kept referring to the fact that it didn't have the hash value attached to it. It was the signature, the actual legitimate signature that shows that it hasn't been altered or manipulated or it hasn't been compromised, was missing from some of these files, right?
Um, that was January. So February 2nd, Karen is already going through her indictment situation, arrest, right? Another thing happens on February 2nd, and I'm trying to see. Let me see if I can get that picture so I can show you. I'm going to look for it first. See if I can get it. There is I have a LLC resolution that it was closed. And that LLC belonged to Fanning and Colleen Crawford. That screenshot that I had, I'm going to see if I can find it. I can show it too with one hand. Um, let's see. They had a video editing company, like an LLC, right? So these two people are civil service employees, right, of the government. They're state employees, so they're civil service contractors or employees. They're working for MSP, Norfolk County, and they're employed, salaried, right? They have a salary, a yearly salary, but they also felt entrepreneurship sort of calling at their door, and they decided to put together a video editing company. So this video editing company that both of them had in both of their names with 50-50 ownership was also dissolved on February 2nd, 2022. Coincidentally, the same day that Karen got, was it arrested or arraigned, one of the two or both? And I'm trying to get to it to see if I can find it. He was a co-owner of this company. So how do companies come to light, right? So when somebody identifies a necessity or a need, right, there's a demand for some sort of service, especially when you are in a particular field or industry where you see that there's a lot of outsourcing need to contract and pay companies to do a specific job, something that you are an expert in, because as a civil service employee, you're doing it already, right? You're actually hacking it. So that's what they did. I don't believe for a minute that this should be allowed. I don't know that the regulations actually allow that this is permitted or happens, or I'm not sure. I really don't know. But that seems to me to be very inappropriate, especially when there's conflict of interest. When your job for the government is performing the same duties as a company that you have on the side, register as an LLC, have ownership between you and somebody else who are both employed for the government as civil service employees receiving a salary on an annual basis, that should have raised an eyebrow as far as appropriation law and, anything that has to do with conflict of interest, anything that has to do with against regulations. I mean, let's say, for instance, that she wanted to put a teaching painting class. That's different, right? Why is it different? Because it has nothing to do with her job. Her job description lays out probably the exact foundation and the backbone of the LLC that they had. But let's not get into that, because that's a whole other Oprah Winfrey show, right? What I'm trying to say is that's how January 2022 into February 2022 happened. So then you hear that there's detectives that are knocking on everybody's doors trying to figure out if they had surveillance cameras available of, any time around that time on January 29th, and identified if there were cars seen commuting, driving, or, cutting through any of these things. And then you wonder, why were they doing that? What were they looking for? Well, you would think that, if they're investigating the John O'Keefe's death and they already have arrested Karen and indicted her with manslaughter because the huge charge was not upgraded until later on. It was upgraded in June. So they're looking for evidence, right? So anybody, you and me, and any normal Joe out there would be looking at what? They're looking for the Lexus, or they're looking for John. They're looking to see if they can, find any evidence and whatnot. So, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's what they were looking for, but we're going to go back to that later. In the case of this show, Mhm, it's too loud. Oh my God. Oh my God. Beep, beep. Oh my God. Yeah, but it doesn't matter what happens in other countries. We are in the United States of America. So I don't know why you're making that analogy, because we're not in any other country. We are in the United States of America. Now, the fact that Massachusetts is running like a dictatorship similar to Haiti or Cuba, that's a different story. But save me the extra. Ay, mm. Did you love that? Okay, that's good to know. Keep going. Oh my God. He doesn't have any moderators? Huh. Oh. Mm.
Marines or any other military will fight for Nick Rocco's right to exist, we also mean that he will fight for Nick Rocco's right to exercise any one of his constitutional rights, especially the First Amendment, which means being able to say what you feel in public so long as you don't break any laws.
He is a piece of shit. Just after she left Brian Higgins' home,
Brian Higgins,
he is a witness in the case. Her message to Aiden is, sorry, in the car with lawyers, stirring shit up again.
This is very interesting. The beautiful girls over there were able to get some messages with regard
You need to adjust your glasses.
to the visit to Brian Higgins' house. And we have now some additional surveillance pictures from Higgy Bear's house.
So this is September 2023, right?
house. Let's keep watching.
The theme of the weekend was to stir shit up. It was to be aggressive towards investigators. We saw Mr. Reed pointing at Yuri. And now Karen is in the car with her attorneys going to the witness's home.
And going to a witness's home who, let's not forget, has a lawyer.
This next slide is from a police report from that.
Okay, and all he has to say is like, I have a lawyer, his name is so-and-so, please feel free to call him. So what is that? Why is that a big deal? I don't understand it. Why is that a big deal? I mean, the grand jury was between it ended June 9th, right? So why is that a big deal?
That day, there was a police report. Roman says that he picked Karen Allen, a blonde woman who he believed to be Karen's attorney, and another woman who he called a witness. And we know that woman.
Oh my God, this is...
He picked up all four of those people at the Higgins homes. And this is that private investigator showing up on Brian Higgins' door. Brian is not interested in talking to her.
We've now been able to ascertain that Brian Higgins said not interested.
You wrong. Is this Higgins?
Is this Higgins?
You wrong.
And the girls are going to point out the fact that perhaps the attorneys broke some rules of professional conduct by contacting Brian Higgins, a witness, directly without going through his...
A lot of people have broken a lot of rules around here, so I wouldn't worry about
attorney,
that
but
one.
let's keep watching.
We've got some timestamps for you guys. So you saw that message from Karen, that stirring shit up message was what, 8:32. So this next slide is some screenshots from the home security. They have times on them. So you can see when she shows up, it's 8:21 a.m. She's knocking on the door. Remember, we told you guys last week they hid the car. So they hid the car behind a line of trees. This is the car arriving. So
it's in the driveway.
8:16 a.m.
Julie was off by 2 minutes. This surveillance photo was from Brian Higgins' house. And how we can tell is because if you see this post right here, this white one with this little dinghy on top of it, that is actually in Higgy Bear's front yard. For some reason, they are disclosing all the information with regard to Higgy Bear's house, but we're just analyzing and reporting on it here. So the car arrives at 8:18 a.m. And that is the SUV that Karen Reed and her attorneys and that pretty private investigator were riding in on that morning.
Questioning what we're saying. Because we said last week, we gave an approximate time. We didn't give you a timestamp. Here it is.
Here you go.
Karen, I can't see the date. It's very, very, very early on. It's very, very, very early on. Brian is represented by an attorney, right? He's interviewed with his attorney.
The beautiful women over there are going to use this document to point out that perhaps Brian Higgins was represented by legal counsel when Karen Reed's team approached him. However, the most important aspect of this document, and partially the reason why we represent every single time that Brian Higgins was involved in the murder of John O'Keefe, is the fact that he retained an attorney within 3 days of the actual death of John O'Keefe. Let's look at the dates. The report is dated February 11th, 2022. Let's read. On February 3rd, 2022, at approximately 3:45, if you are an innocent witness, why would you ever hire an attorney?
Excuse me? Anybody that is innocent, that it finds themselves in a pickle, has every single right and should not be judged. Because within hours, the first thing you think, you know what? I don't like how this is going. Get me a damn attorney. That is a right that anybody has. Karen has it. Higgins had it. Everybody has it. If you want to know who else wanted to have it and exercised it, Kevin Albert. Ask him. He was from the group. He has had an attorney since Sandra Birchmore. Why don't you go ahead and ask him? This is old news.
4 days after your good buddy died on your friend's front lawn. The act of hiring an attorney in your life doesn't mean that you are guilty. However, if you're simply an innocent witness, why would Brian Higgins is guilty?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because he is a federal agent, one. He was working at the time that this happened with the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Apprehension Unit. his job brought him to Kenton PD, in which Chief Berkowitz gave him an office as a working partnership, right? And I'm sure you've seen the ceremony where Chief Berkowitz actually gets an award by the GFTT, which is part of the FBI, giving him an award because he's been critical to their job, their task force, what they do, their efforts. So that's why he got an attorney.
The discovery that Karen got on 6/10/2022. And there it is, number 53, a copy of BH interview. So she had known from June 10th of 2022.
That's when, yes, because the grand jury ended June 9th, 2022. And they get discovery sent to them. It's not that she had gotten a copy. It's that this is part of the discovery because that grand jury was related to her case. Okay?
That Brian Higgins was represented by an attorney.
The women are citing a document that claims that Karen Reed's team obtained this.
My God.
This actual report, which indicated at that time Brian Higgins had an attorney. However, it is their attorney's obligation to investigate every single potential witness, and that's what they did. Every legal situation is different. Get your own attorney. Don't rely upon this for legal advice. However, if you're not sure if a witness is retained by an attorney or not at the particular time for which you go, and here it's months later, then the rules may permit your private investigator to approach a witness and ask if they want to cooperate. Because Karen Reed authentically believed that Brian Higgins had nothing to do with John O'Keefe's murder at this point, and an innocent witness surely would want to participate in helping both sides figure out who killed John O'Keefe, there was no real reasonable belief that Brian Higgins was still represented by counsel months later.
And what I have down here in this corner is Rule 4.2. And it says, in representing a client, a lawyer shall not communicate about the subject of the representation with a person the lawyer knows to be represented by another lawyer. That includes private investigators, right? So if you hire a private investigator, that private investigator cannot contact that witness.
Most of that is true. However, the girls missed the last portion of that actual rule, or is authorized to do so by law or court order. If the law permits, which probably it does here, the private investigator to approach and ask if the witness is willing to speak with them, and the team reasonably believes that he is not represented at the time, there's nothing wrong with it.
What she asks for from Aiden is Sarah Levinson's address. So now she wants to go to Sarah's house. So she's going to stir some shit up at Sarah's house.
Sarah Levinson.
Sarah Levinson
is a...
Okay. She's here to the left. That's what she is.
John off, and Brian Higgins attacked them.
She does go to Sarah's house. Sarah is not home. Sarah's mother gives them an earful, and they leave Sarah's house.
Killed John O'Keefe, especially at this time when we didn't know all the facts regarding Brian Higgins. Plus, we learned from the trial that Sarah usually disregards whatever her mom's saying anyway.
I wore shoes that my mother told me not to wear because they didn't have traction, but they went with my outfit.
Yeah, well, aren't you a rebel without a cause?
Of Karen and her.
Let's see. Times I was just a massive power by Lally. Oh, mentally, it was just a massive power move by Lally. He confirmed with the lawyer that they're investigating.
Her attorneys, again, her attorneys are well aware that she has a restraining order, that she has no business being at this house. This is an attorney, two attorneys, and an accused murderer taunting the victim's family outside the
obligation to inspect
How can they be taunting if they're
contain...
parked a corner away? That's not even his driveway. So how is she taunting nothing?
Clues to how, when, and where Brian Higgins attacked and killed John O'Keefe.
They knew that she went to Sandwich. I mean, who lives in Sandwich? They could have put her in jail.
Yep.
They could have made this so much worse.
So Aiden says something to Karen, and Karen replies, "It's actually true." And then she replies,
"Wait, you cannot talk about this at all. It could be blown. The FBI is headed there. It's actually true." Okay?
21 seconds later, "You cannot talk about this at all. It could get blown. The FBI is headed there."
These are messages relating to potentially a Ring camera seeing the Ford Edge leaving somebody's house at 2:30 in the morning.
So these are more activities, and please don't mention this in any way. They wouldn't hand it over.
Wait. Off of the Neponset address? Interesting.
Over to us. So we called the feds. And then she says, "You can't say anything like there may be a fourth member of the Albert family who drives a Ford Edge."
Referring to Kevin Albert here.
And then she says,
"No
I just
shit, Sherlock. It's like you're coming a little late to the game.
They want
here.
you posting today, tomorrow, and the feds think we told them and shared it with you. Someone told Sean and that Sean on the Golf that the event shows it's the
Who?
Albert's Edge leaving at 2:30
Shout out
a.m.
to
That is
Sean on
it,
the
the
Golf.
Kevin Albert. So they're targeting Kevin Albert. That's who it was.
They're not targeting Kevin Albert. Kevin Albert, it's in the picture. He put himself in the picture since he came back on that road trip with Higgins and Eddie Hernandez and Brian Albert, 4-hour trip, almost all together, tucked in inside the Dodge Ram surveillance vehicle of Canton PD. Okay? And probably, if you think about logic, right? Let's follow a sequence. Why not? Why won't you, right? Probably anything that transpired in that 4-hour trip was what provoked that maybe Kevin called or texted Chris and asked Chris to invite John to the waterfall. And hey, if you see him, invite him to the waterfall tonight. We're all off. I don't know. I mean, doesn't it sound like logic to you? Because when John went to pick up the slices of pizza with his nephew, Chris invited him to the waterfall. And the first thing that John asked was, is your brother Kevin going to be there? Now, I have been curious as far as when did this happen? And I have not been able to put a timestamp on it. Like, when did John go to D&E Pizza? What I can tell you is that at 1:27 p.m. on January 28th, 2022, John's phone, the iCloud, what was the last stamp as far as when it was updated? 1:27 p.m. Because he had to be connected to the Wi-Fi, to his Wi-Fi. He had 3 email accounts linked to that phone: his work, his personal, and his sister. All of his text messages, all of the pictures, he probably tried to save all the pictures of the kids, the babies, like, that his sister had. So at 1:27 p.m. on 1/28, which was that Friday, iCloud backed up, and it was the last time that it was updated. And I have the receipts. So, yeah, you're making it to look like something that it isn't, because Kevin Albert put himself in
Kevin
that
Albert's
situation.
car in front of Brian's house. A neighbor has ring of video of him leaving at 3 a.m. Tried
Would you believe it?
really, really hard to drag Kevin Albert into this.
We don't have to drag him. He's at the waterfall. Did you look at the timestamp at the waterfall surveillance video inside? It's 10:56:36. Can you go back and watch it? Because we just found him. And there's a picture on this live show that I'm going to show. I probably put it as a thumbnail just so everybody can see it. But that's him. No doubt. It's him. So, no.
They really did.
Yeah, they did it with Higgins. They tried to.
What they tried to do was keep him away from this case, just like they try to keep Chris Albert away from this case, just like they tried to skip and say that Julie had a headache and went home. And all of a sudden, all of these people were following everybody to go to the 34 Fairview Blizzard party. What they tried to keep away was that there was never a Blizzard party at 34 Fairview. What are they? Was it? Was it? Nah.
Say it was right before it went to trial, the first trial, where it was like, they had a conversation on the phone for 5 minutes or whatever, and they tried to make that into something like, before Higgins testified.
That is some breaking news.
They had a conversation over the phone for 5 minutes or so before they went to trial. Wait a second. Let's go back at it. I gotta slow it down. They had Let's slow this down. Oh my God. I'm telling you, this hand situation it's not fun.
Like, before Higgins testified.
That is some
Before
breaking
Higgins-
news. If true, Karen Reed
Trial, the first trial, where it was like, they had a conversation on the phone for 5 minutes or whatever, and they tried to make that into something like, before Higgins testified.
Wow. Jesus Christ. You know, blessings come in many ways, but per agreed upon, right? Wow.
That is some breaking news. If
Wow.
true, Karen Reed's team actually spoke with Brian Higgins.
Still wait. Trial first. Wait a minute. That's how I do things. First trial was April 2024. And before the trial, minute conversation. Now, on trial one is when, wait a minute. Wait. The trial channel. No. And did I have a conversation with somebody about this, that I had a feeling that something may have come to terms as far as wait. Bill one. Oh my God. Hey there. No.
So as for
No.
this is one of the two opportunities that I would get to.
So he was not the first, not the third, not the second. So
essentially,
I wonder.
attempt to do, and I know you've heard over the course of the impoundment process, a number
Interesting.
of different witnesses that were listed out as
So,
witnesses in this case. So what?
Well, it was about the same time that Brian and Nicole showed up. I don't know if they entered before me or I entered after them.
wait
I
a
was a
minute.
lieutenant with Cambridge Fire Department.
And how long were you a lieutenant with the Cambridge Fire Department?
I was a lieutenant probably for about 8 years. Total, I was with Cambridge approximately 15 years.
Now, at some point, did you reside in the town of Canton?
I did.
And when was that? Sort of what year to what year?
I think that it was shortly after my sister passed away. So it was probably 2017 I purchased that house, and I sold it in January of 2022.
And do you recall, was that early January, late January?
On or about January 5th.
And when you sold that property, did you move down to Barnstable County, or did you live somewhere else as well?
For a period of time, I rented an in-law apartment in West Roxbury.
Okay, so wait. January 5th. So as of January 5th, if it was sold, ratified, or whatever it was, you were no longer in that property, I guess, right? By the 21st, you were no longer in that property. So,
And I had my
the
property on
29th.
Cape Cod as well.
And that in-law property in West Roxbury, that was in 2022 as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I could turn your attention to January 28th, 2022 into January 29th of 2022. Do you recall those dates?
Yes.
Do you recall what days of the week those were?
I believe the 28th was Friday and the 29th was Saturday.
If I could take you back just to at least a day or so before that, specifically the 28th. On the 28th, where were you on that day initially?
New York City.
And why were you in New York City?
I was in New York City for the funeral services of Officer Mora and Rivera, who killed in the line of duty.
And fair to say there was a large contingent of law enforcement there?
Yes.
Including several people from Massachusetts?
Yes.
He's joking
And,
up.
when
So
did you go down to New York City?
I'm sorry, guys. I need to
Morning.
look. I need to look at
Name and spell
something.
your last name.
My name is Brian Higgins, Higgins.
And where do you live, sir?
Barnstable County, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived there?
I've owned that property since approximately 2018.
And do you work, sir?
I do.
What do you do for work?
I'm a special agent with the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
And how long have you been doing that?
Just over 15 years.
Now, sir, prior
A little choking up.
prior to your employment with the ATF, what, if any, other positions, what did you do for work before that?
I was a lieutenant with Cambridge Fire Department.
Okay, stop right there. Let me see something. No. Why didn't you say that earlier? He was not. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Thank you, Trials Channel. Thank you. I don't need that anymore. I didn't think so. So I'm gonna close you because everybody's saying that YouTube is acting up and StreamYard is acting up. So
all of you in this community, we have pieced together most of the evidence that shows when, where, and how Brian Higgins attacked and killed John O'Keefe on that fateful morning.
oh yeah, so answer me this, Vinny. Where was Higgins at 12:20.36 seconds when he sent John a text? Are you coming here? Where was he? Can you give me your location on Higgins? Since you have pieced most of the stuff, right? That Higgins was in between, involved in this thing. Where was Higgins' location at 12:20.36 when he sent the text, "Are you coming here?" Question mark, exclamation point. You can't. Because we never got the extractions from Higgins, right? Now I'll ask you this. I'm going to give you an easier one. Where was Jen McCabe at 12:20.14 when she texted John, "Here," exclamation point, question mark, question mark? Because those two were not at the same place. Because these two texts are divorced from each other, right? Now you have Jen's extraction. Can you tell me exactly what was the location where Jen was at 12:20 and 12 seconds when she sent that text? I'll tell you where she was. At 12:19.22 seconds, she pulled up at 34 Fairview. Okay. She started a phone call with John at 12:18 and 44 seconds. That phone call did not end until 12:19 and 36. So by the time that she pulled up at 34 Fairview at 12:19 and 22 seconds, they were still talking to John through the Bluetooth of the Yukon Denali. The one that is like 6 feet, 5 inches in height. Yeah. That parked in the middle lane. Yes. So Jen gets out Jen's watch, right? Which records her movements, gets out of the Yukon. She's the driver on this car, right? She gets out of the Yukon and she goes inside 34 Fairview at 12:19.22. And at 12:20 and 12 seconds, we're talking about less than a minute, right? Less than 58 seconds away. She's texting John. Here, why do you think that is? Because if she started talking to John at 12:18.44, and she's still talking to John through the Bluetooth of the Yukon, and Matt is in the car, remember? And Chris Albert is potentially in that car also, remember? They already know by 12:19 when John opens his Waze app and it takes him 5 seconds to find the directions for 34 Fairview, they already know how close to 34 Fairview he is. So within less than 2 seconds or so, Jenny's texting him here because, it shouldn't have taken him that long, right? It's just a few seconds away. And that text from Jen to John went before the text from Higgins to John. So 12:20 and 12 seconds. At 12:21, and John is already entering 34 Fairview. His phone. I don't know about John, but John's phone is entering westerly 34 Fairview and taking steps towards the next threshold. moving forward. He turns around at one point, goes up, goes down, and goes back up. All vertical movements until 12:24:38, when his last movements are recorded. So when you talk about pieces and you've put all these pieces together, what pieces are you? Because as far as I know, you need to prove to me that Higgins was at that location when John arrived.
But no matter what, we will never listen closely, Brian Patrick Higgins.
He doesn't have to listen closely. You need to listen closely. You need to prove that Brian Higgins was actually there when John first put one foot inside 34 Fairview. You know why? Why do you think that is? Because what John told Higgins at 11:57, 11:58, before he left the waterfall, whatever plans were made between this group of people before Higgins, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Caitlin Albert left the waterfall were changed the minute that John called Jen and texted her where to at 12:14. Whatever plans were made at 11:58, that didn't happen, because almost 16 minutes later, John had not gotten to where he told Higgins he was going to go. Higgins was still waiting for John almost 16 minutes later, right? Because he got to 34 Fairview at 12:04, 12:05, right? And John didn't show up until 12:21. Now, think about this. You and I are at a bar. We make plans to meet in the corner of Happy and Healthy at 11:30, right? You leave at 11:30. You get there by 11:34. 15 minutes have passed. And I'm still where you left me. I haven't gone anywhere, right? You have no idea whether I'm going or I'm not going. So you text me, are you coming here? I don't answer you, right? You're still thinking you're where we said that we were going to meet, but you don't know whether I'm at the corner of Happy and Healthy or halfway through Healthy, turning around to get to Happy. You have no idea where I am, right? Because I'm texting somebody else who was also in that party, who actually left sort of around the same time I left. And I asked that person where to, and she told me where to, not you. I went where she told me where to go, where we were going to meet, not you. So that's why at 12:21, 12:20:36, you're still almost 16 minutes later asking me, are you coming here? Because I pretty much dished you, right? I haven't shown up, right? So whether I showed up here or there, you and Jen are not at the same, Higgins and Jen are not at the same place, are they? I mean, it doesn't take anything else other than logic to put this together. So Higgins is not going to crack. He's not going to rat anybody. Okay? I don't even know whether he got there right in the middle of it or right after it was time for him to get Chloe off of John. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that Jen and Higgins were not at the same place. And for all I know, Higgins could have thought that John was standing him up because 16 minutes had passed and he had not shown up.
Old Higgy Bear ever stop producing these videos until the real killer,
well, I'm not either,
Brian Higgins,
is brought to justice.
Whoever did this is brought to justice.
This crime was very simple to solve because it...
So let's look at these cars. There's a Cadillac, blue Cadillac, driven by Nicole Albert. This is it looks like a Blazer, but typically what Brian Albert drove as a official government vehicle from PD was a Ford Explorer, right? This Ford Escape was the older Ford Escape that he mentioned in trial that was driven by his kids. Remember? I don't know if you guys remember that. This van, I have no idea who this van is. So the morning of, we see the Ford Explorer, that is the Boston PD government assigned vehicle to Brian Albert. We have also a Ford Edge parked right behind it. The Cadillac is missing, and so is the Ford Escape. So when you hear Lana saying, so where is the Cadillac? Where is the Cadillac? That garage does not welcome cars. That garage, those garage doors, you can't park any car in them because they use that room for something else. There is a video, and I think is the video where Matt, what's his name, from ABC, let me see if I can find it, interviews the Brian Albert, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Chris Albert, Jen McCabe, and Matt McCabe. And he interviews them all. And that video shows the picture of the garage door open, right? Like wide open. And let me see if this is it, or because there's one that is short and there's one that is, yeah, it may be this one. Let me see. I wish I could find the actual ABC. Sometimes I can find it, sometimes I can't. But, okay, so ABC, no, show me the actual ABC. Hold on, ABC interview. Let's see. Hold on, don't despair. I'm trying to find the right one. I already found it, but I'm not the one that I want to show, because there is a short one, there's a full one, and there's one that has been edited. And I think I showed one the other day. Here we go. 13 minutes, 3 seconds and 20 seconds. Right? Okay, here we go. Okay, tracking, yeah. And I'm gonna show this instead. So
in that trial,
hear
tell
this
ABC
instead.
News the way they've been treated is anything but fair. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
The criminal justice system has let us down at every turn. And yesterday was the final letdown. And that's why we're here, because there's nobody left to stand up for us.
Think real long and hard before you're a witness in a case, because no one protects you. And it's very, very sad.
For the first time, some of the key players in the Karen Reed trial sitting down for an exclusive interview. John O'Keefe's friend, Jennifer McCabe, and her husband, Matt, former Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert, and his wife, Nicole, and his brother, Chris Albert. All 5 of them pulled into the center of this high-profile case and now speaking out.
And I think the reason we all stayed quiet is because we were just witnesses. This is a thing that we had nothing to do with.
We did the civic duty, came and told the truth, and that's it.
Free Karen Reed! It's the case that has captivated the country and divided a town. Karen Reed, accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, hitting him with her SUV and leaving him to die in a blizzard.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Now, after a second trial, a jury acquitting her of the most serious charges, second-degree murder
So
and
emotional
manslaughter.
still.
And hundreds of supporters in pink, Karen Reed's favorite color, cheering as the verdict came down yesterday.
I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters.
People turned this thing into a tailgate party, it looked like some days. Board games, cornhole, cookouts. This is a guy that was murdered.
It's not a guy. He was a Boston police officer.
It's atrocious for that family.
While the prosecutors blamed Reed for O'Keefe's death, the defense said this group of family members framed Reed to cover up what really happened that night. Ever since, their lives becoming open season for endless conspiracy theories.
What they've done is they've dehumanized us.
This guy is so dangerous, you guys. You know, from a profiling point of view, and I'm not gonna get into a lot of details, but it's the last person you think, right? You never get to know people. You never do. You never get to know people. The in and outs of somebody's heart, somebody's brain, you know, the capacity that they have to hate, the in and outs, all these intricacies and, you know, everything that accumulated from the time that they were raised from, you know, they say that for boys, the first 5 years, 5 to 7 years are critical because their inner selves is formed, right? They say that boys, especially, because girls act a little bit different, they mature a little bit different, but boys, the first 5 to 7 years are very critical. Everything develops from that. Your emotions, your emotional intelligence, your capacity to be empathic, your capacity to be mean. You know how they say that we all have like a little devil and a little angel in each side of our shoulders, right? Well, it's almost like a balance too. And one of them is a little bit heavier than the other, depending on how we grow up, how we are raised. And I'm not talking about education like school and math and languages and English and geography. No. I'm talking about customs. I'm talking about how you're raised at home, how you are brought up, what kind of values are instigated in you, right? What kind of like knowledge is being transferred to you, learning experiences, politeness, protocol. Do you sit straight in the table? All of that stuff has a lot to do as far as how an individual goes from being a child to being a young adult or a young kid or a youngster or a teenager, right? And then going into middle school and high school year and then becoming an adult. It's the last you think.
To the sense where we're not real people. We're almost like caricatures.
Wait, let me see if you caught that. Let me see something.
We're not real people.
Look at Brian Albert.
We're almost like caricatures.
His eyes are all over the place. He's just examining.
We're pawns.
Have each of you been called murderers? Like actual murderers?
Oh, yeah, on a daily basis.
Anybody who's touched this case has been called.
This is another case of, someone who became an engineer of some kind. And I don't know that he's software. He may be integration. He may be IT. He doesn't strike me like a software engineer, but he has his own company with his brother. And that's what they do for a living, right? They outsource or they bid against these contracts, government contracts, most of them. They have to meet a certain criteria, requirements, because this bid wars can be very competitive. You need to pretty much overpass and super exceed anybody else's and be very competitive with what you bring as far as value, right? To be able to win these bids. But his company has won bid after bid after bid after bid and continues to win bid. There was one particular bid, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but there was a requirement for an engineer to have a specific set of expertise. And guess what? Elevate which is the name of the company that they own, did not have that resource available at the time. But guess what? That didn't stop them from winning that bid. And they did get the job. You know, suddenly you find advertisings on Indeed and whatever, and they're trying to recruit for this specific level of expertise engineer to be able to supply the job that they just, yeah, yep.
Called a murder at some point.
Or and anyone who's friends with us support cop killers.
After 3+ years, the saga wrapped up.
Like washing their
yesterday.
faces.
Reed captured celebrating at dinner with her father, and today seen walking with her attorney, Alan Jackson.
I didn't even know I'd be here today, so I had no plans.
Meanwhile, O'Keefe's family and friends struggling with the verdict.
I'm just sad for John's family and what happened yesterday, and I feel like they didn't get justice for him. And
now you need to understand, Brian was born in 1968. I believe Chris was born in 1973. Jen is a 1976 baby. So she's closer to Chris as far as age goes. Wait, is it Chris that was born in 19? Are Chris and Jen the same age? I think it's Kevin that was born in 73 and Chris in 76. One of the two. I'll double check for the next time. And Nicole is older than Jen is, right? Look at Matt McKay's face. So they've known each other from high school, living in Canton. By the time that 34 Fairview was built was 1975. So they migrated migrated to Canton with other families pretty much at the same time, Irish families. And by 1976, they were already living at 34 Fairview. So neither Brian, Kathleen, I want to say that it's Kevin that is older. I want to say it's Kevin that is older than Chris, but I could be wrong. One of them or four of them were not born in this house, right? But they've all lived at this house since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. So not only do they know this house like the back of their hand, the neighborhood, the people, the parents knew everybody. Everybody knew their parents. Everybody knew of them, who they were. Also, Jen's family, because the same thing happened with her parents that transitioned from where they lived and they moved to Canton, and they lived in several different addresses and moved around. And then when one moved to another one, then the other daughter would buy that property, and then the sister would buy this one and whatever. And they all stayed up sort of like closer to the Canton area altogether. In 1995, there was a very tragic event that happened on Jen's life. And I want to say 1995 because by then she was almost graduating high school, right? But Jen's family has gone through so many tragedies that it's almost like it's impossible to believe that, her aunt and the person that the aunt was married to with two of her cousins, but this happened before Jen was born, were in a tragic accident and they all died. But these families have endured a lot. But with enduring a lot also comes a lot of trauma, right? And it makes you wonder.
lives just changed forever.
Why speak out now after the verdict?
We took what we thought was the high road. Right. Let the court do its job.
After a night of hanging out at a local bar in a brutal 2022 blizzard, Brian and his wife Nicole hosted a late-night gathering at their home. An invitation had been extended to Reed and O'Keefe, but Brian Albert says neither of them ever entered his home that night. O'Keefe was found lying unconscious in the snow of Albert's front lawn. He was pronounced dead at the hospital hours later.
Here we go.
The defense's theory? A violent altercation at the Alberts' home, possibly involving other members of law enforcement.
Did John ever come in the house?
Never. No.
Wow. Look at Nicole.
You never saw John O'Keefe in the house, right?
Never.
Never. Never.
These are people in your own community.
You'd have to have
Yes, Brian.
multiple
Thank you.
cops on 2 different police departments.
Yep. So Boston PD, right? Canton PD and Massachusetts State Police. Keep going.
Multiple civilians. The medical.
So you have the Fantastic 11, right? You have Katie McLaughlin, who's backing up for Caitlin. You have the Nagels, Heather Maxson, and you have Sarah Levinson, and you have who else was it that was with Brian Albert Jr.? You have Brian Albert Jr. We haven't even spoken where your other kids were, because you had other kids, right? And this happened in January. So were they already gone back to school or whatever it is that they were? Because I don't see the white Forest Cape there, right? I don't see the blue Cadillac there. So, there's a lot of questions as far as where is that car? I know for a fact that car was not in the garage because of something that I'm going to show you right about now. So who took off on that car? I know Chloe wasn't, but she couldn't have driven it. So who took off in that car?
Examine. Firemen, EMTs.
Here we
you
go.
name it. That's how preposterous. And
It's not
silly this is.
preposterous. You're
And
just
it's a great
telling us
question. I
yourself.
don't understand how people bought this.
Brian Albert said,
You know why people bought this? I don't understand how people bought this. How people bought what exactly? Can you go back and just, hey, Matt, can you ask him again? I think you missed out here, an opportunity. You should have asked him. I don't understand how people bought this. Bought what?
Understand how people bought this.
Brian Albert says he and Nicole only
Motherfucker. Damn muffo.
found out about John's death when Jen McCabe, who is Nicole's sister, barged into their bedroom.
She was just
upset.
and I
Yeah, you're about to mess up, so be careful. Wow, look how he's looking at her.
immediately thought something had happened to one of
Jesus.
her children or one of my children, because why else is she in my
You
bedroom
just shush
at
it.
6:30 in the morning right now?
And what did she tell you?
She said, John's out front. I think
Right.
John's dead out front.
Mhm.
I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? And I'm like, who? I didn't know.
You still didn't piece it
I
together.
didn't understand what she was talking about, because why would
You know what? Sometimes, and I have
John
to
be
be
out
honest
front of
with
my
you.
house?
So massively confusing. There are police officers, EMTs on your front
Hold
lawn.
on.
You're an officer. Why don't you just go outside and investigate or take a look?
I'm not a Canton police officer. I'm a
Oh
Boston
my God.
police officer. I was just woken up out of a cold sleep from hanging out the night before. By the time I came downstairs,
Look at Matt.
the police were already in my house. John was already gone. There was nobody to save.
Look at
I
this.
would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was a fellow cop. That's the
You
most
know what,
ridiculous
Brian?
question.
I almost believe you. Right there. I gotta go back a minute. I almost believed you, and decorated dudes. I almost believe you, just for that, just for one
Nobody
second.
to save. I would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was
That
a fellow
right there.
cop. That's the most ridiculous.
But look at.
Question that people always ask. It makes zero sense. What am I supposed to do? Run out front in my underwear and start running yellow tape around the fire hydrant?
Over the course of the night, Reed called and texted John 52 times. She then called Jen asking for help to
Here we
find
go.
John. Karen previously telling me she and John had gotten into an argument that night.
Would you say that you were angry with John that night?
Yes,
Yes.
live it.
Could you have been angry enough and slightly drunk?
No, I would have gotten a ladder and beaten the heck out of him myself, but I would have not been angry enough to actually tap him with my car, Matt. That was like, you don't know where your boundaries are. Why didn't you do something like that when you were interviewing the other group?
Drunk because he had annoyed you, that in the fit of rage you just backed up and
Never
tried to tap him.
You're lucky I like
You'd
you.
have to have multiple cops on 2 different
Hold on.
police departments. I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? I'm like,
Massively confusing.
I'm not a Canton police officer. John was already gone. There was nobody to save. I would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was a fellow.
Telling me
I don't
she
know.
and John had gotten into an argument that night.
I don't know.
Would you say that you were angry with John that night?
Yes.
Could you have been angry enough and slightly drunk because he had annoyed you, that in the fit of rage you just backed up and
Never.
tried to tap him?
Would
Not
never
to try to kill him, but try to
tap him with my 6,000-pound full-size SUV, to hit John's body with my car. No.
I spoke with a juror tonight who told me she believes a collision did not occur.
Overall, a lot of the evidence had caused reasonable doubt, and that was enough for us not to convict.
A little after 6 a.m., Karen found John's body in the snow. Jen called 911.
911, what's your emergency? There's a man passed out in the snow.
Hello? But what raised eyebrows at Reed's trial was a defense theory about a Google search Jen had made about how long it takes to die in the cold. The defense claiming she searched it before O'Keefe's body was found. So much has been made about that Google search.
Wait,
that
wait,
morning.
go back.
Was it at 6 a.m. or was it at
Wait,
6:27
wait,
a.m.?
why
How
did you
long
go
did
so
that
quickly?
take?
Why did you go so
takes to die
quickly?
in the
Don't go
cold.
so quickly.
The defense claiming she searched it before
Here we go.
O'Keefe's body.
So, wait. Okay. Timestamp. Oh, wait. So, timestamp. Let's do this again. And I'm
The
going to
defense
slow it
claiming
down.
she searched it before O'Keefe's body
Oh
was
my God. That's a truck. Hold on.
So much.
Oh, shoot. Why would you stop it? I wanted to know whose truck that is. So, hold on. It won't let me slow it down. Okay.
Search Jen had made about how long
Okay,
it takes
that's
to
fine.
die in the cold. The defense claimed
going.
she searched it
I'm gonna try to catch
before
it.
O'Keefe's body was
Dodge Ram.
found.
Dodge Ram. That's a Dodge Ram.
Searched it before O'Keefe's body was
That's a Dodge Ram. But
found. So much has been made about that Google search that morning. Was it at 6 a.m. or was it at 6:27 a.m.? How long to die in the cold? What's your answer?
She asked me to do it at
Yeah.
outside of Fairview at 6:20, whatever it was. Doesn't matter how much I say about it, people will not believe it.
The group also hoping to clear up rumors regarding the Albert's dog.
Will not
wait,
believe
I
it.
missed
The group
something.
also hoping to clear up
About it, people will not believe it.
Whoa. Can I please slow this down? I need to slow it down. I just caught. I need to do this. I need to slow this down and cut. Okay. So, wait. So, stay where you guys are. I mean, stay where you are, guys. I'm going to do something. And I'm going to go.
Whatever it was. Doesn't matter how much I say about it, people will not believe it.
Oh, Nicole, I caught her laughing. Oh my gosh, I have to get another shot of this. Hold on. Let me get out of here. And where do I go? Where do I go? Oh my God. Okay, wait.
The group also hoping to clear up rumors regarding the Albert's dog, Chloe, who had been rehomed after the incident. The defense claimed the dog was involved in O'Keefe's death.
Those wounds were inflicted as the result of a dog attack. Those marks are from teeth.
They've known for 2 years where Chloe is. The state shared it with them.
So if they wanted to take DNA
Yeah, I need to.
evidence from Chloe the dog and match it to possible DNA evidence on John O'Keefe, they could have matched it.
Absolutely.
But now with the trial behind them, they say they're still faced with threats against them and their
Hmm.
families, but hope to continue calling this community their home.
You get down, you get
Wow.
depressed, and it's like,
Wait,
but this is the town we
Wait. Did he show it? Because I needed to go back to. Did he show another picture of the house? It is a pretty town.
On
Okay, wait.
O'Keefe, they could have matched it.
I caught her
But now with the
laughing.
trial behind them, they say they're still faced with threats against them and their families, but hope to continue calling this community their home.
You get down, you get depressed, and it's like, but this is the town we grew up in. We didn't
Yes, you did.
do anything wrong. We all contributed to our town. We love our town. Why should we have to go anywhere?
So let's do something. And that is, hold on. Wait. Okay, wait. So I'm gonna send this to Lana because she doesn't have it, and apparently I'm gonna take this out and no. Yeah, I want to show you guys that one, but commercials. Okay, wait. Okay. So I'm gonna try to see if I can bring. Give me 1 second. If I can bring. I found Nicole laughing. I caught her laughing. These people did a good job editing it, right? But they also did a bad job editing it. So every time that I look at videos, I find something else. It's just amazing. So ABC interview McAlbert. Oh. Actually, didn't I have truth reveal there? Let's see. The body language guy. No, I don't want any of those. I just want a normal interview of the interview. Because I want to see if I can catch. Okay, let's watch this. Oh. Yeah, I want to see. Wait. Mm. I'm sorry, guys, but to be able to catch stuff, you need to do this way. Because if you don't, you will never catch anything. So here we go. It's right here. So let's see if they edited it. Look. Oh, I almost caught it. I think I caught it. Hold on, hold on, hold on. So playback speed. Let's do it at just a little tad over. Let's do it at 75 and let's see what happens. See if I can catch it. So look at Nicole's face. They try to edit it. So where's my thing? Jesus Christ. When I'm looking for something, I can't even find it. It really, really bothers me. ABC, 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 unedited, unedited, a Calvert interview. Here we go. Let's see. Is this it? Breakdown. It says unedited, so let's see. This is not showing the entire thing. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's you talking. That's not the actual interview. Okay. This is frustrating. I'm going to have to find it and look for it because going to listen mode. Okay, cool. I wasn't showing anything at the end. What I was doing was looking at a specific clip. I just called Nicole Albert, sort of like smirking at what do you call it? Smirking at Matt, at the interviewer, when Jen was about to answer that question. So I'm gonna go back and find it. I also have to go back and watch Karen's thing too, because I don't know, for some reason I forgot, and I started the first stream. I started it right around the time that that her thing was. But then I thought that it was not going to be shown because there was a sign that said that they were not going to be streaming it. But I should have just gone to Melon Little. She manages to find the Zoom. I'm dealing with one hand. That's the problem. Everything is a little slower. I'm going to get this thing together and I'm going to show you guys. So in the meantime, I'm gonna let you guys go. And did I show you the picture again? Let me see if I can show you the picture. Here we go. I'm gonna delete this one and I'm gonna delete this one. And what do you know? How do you like that? How do you like that? Who's that? Who's that? Huh? Nice picture. Nice picture.